Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Deniches and welcome back to Spooktober Day 29. So, yeah, we only have 3 days left until October ends. Um, yeah, I guess we just jump straight into it, into jump scare. I kind of don't have anything else to say before starting. I guess the only thing that I can say is that I made this video right after the previous one, just take a little bit of breathing, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I think, or yeah, something about that. Um, and just continue, I guess. A jump scare. The reason why I want to talk about this is just because somehow, like in movies, in games, like in video games, a lot of stuff, jump scare is always often associated, not really associated, but more like it is something that always exists, right? And it works. It just works. It really makes you jump, right, with the scares. So you got jump scared. Um, it is effective. It is sometimes like people abuse this a little bit too much, and therefore, like it makes the games or the movies become bad, right? Because it's just jump scare fast. I mean, and yeah, there you go. I kind of want to know about the origin of jump scare, like who initially thought that this would be a great thing to be inserted in movies or in games in general, right? I guess there's that. Oh, also, wait a minute. Okay, there is again like with the ticks manifestation. There's just a lot of them, which is I I don't know like how to deal with this. Well, I guess we'll just go into it. I guess. Anyway, a jump scare is a technique often used in horror films and video games intended to scare the audience by surprising them with an abrupt change in image or event, usually occurring with a loud jarring sound. Yeah. The jump scare has been described as one of the most basic building blocks of horror movies. Jump scares can startle the viewer by appearing at a point in the film where the soundtrack is quiet and the viewer is not expecting anything alarming to happen, or can be their sudden payoff to a long period of suspense. So there you go, that's what jump scare is about. It is used like it's considered as most basic building blocks, right? So if you want to build a house of horror movies, then your bricks is probably the jump scares, right? Like you build the suspense and then you end the suspense with a jump scare, right? Like with loud noise as well over here. um, if it's about movie, the one that I can think of is probably it's a little bit difficult, honestly. Okay, here we go. Do you guys remember the Conjuring series? Like the what is it called again? What is it? Insidious, right? Yeah, Insidious, Conjuring, Annabelle, or something like that. Whatever it is, right? Like these movies actually used a lot of jump scares, and to my surprise, well, see there, surprise, it worked. All the surprise work, like most of the time, like things that you didn't expect to happen. Although like sometimes you also expected, oh, here we go, jump scare is about to happen, right? And the jump scare happened and you still got startled, right? So I guess that works, although maybe some of them are predictable, but they still work, they still serve their purpose of jump scare, right? Which is to like to startle the viewer, right, over here by appearing at a point in the film where the soundtrack is quiet and then suddenly like loud sound, right? um in games though, I think what's games that I think will be most people relate to is probably the Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, the Five Nights at Freddy's is just basically a jump scare fest as well. Like the original game, the first one in 2014, I believe. Like yeah, it's just obvious, right? It used jump scare basically like it builds your suspense, right? Like the animatronics will appear in the CCTV and then in the cam basically, and then you will be kind of terrified, right? Like what if it will come, and then the animatronics showed up at the door, and then you close the door, and maybe you lost the power, and then you live with the room empty. I mean by empty I mean leave the room dark, and suddenly Freddy jump scared you, right? But yeah, that's the whole premise of the game, I believe. You do something, you failed at that something, and jump scare comes, right? It's just a continuous repeat of that concept, I think, and it works. Again, it worked. Five Nights at Freddy is become big as it is right now, right? There is a lot of game over there, like I don't know, like maybe eight, nine. I don't know, like FNAF, how many FNAF games offer out there right now, right? But yeah, like it's just keep continue to it keeps continuing to like I would say keep getting improved, right? Like um from the basic mobile games, like not really mobile games, but more like yeah, like for the basic games, PC games, mobile games, and it got like basically updated into the second one, third one, fourth one, and then studios recruited. I think what is the creator's name again? Scott, right? Scott Cawthon, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's the original creator of Five Nights at Freddy's, right? And yeah, it's just become as big as now. But yeah, yeah, like if you ask me about movies and games, I would probably answer those. Like like common movies or common games that use jump scare, like I said, probably The Conjuring, Insidious, Annabelle, like those kinds of stuff. And then the games will be Five Nights at Freddy's. Some critics have described jump scares as a lazy way to frighten viewers, and believe that the horror genre has undergone a decline in recent years following an over reliance on the trope, establishing it as a cliche of modern horror films. Yeah, I guess it makes sense because again, it works, right? Then people, like instead of building something like suspense, why don't we just insert cheap jump scares, right? I guess it worked, so might as well keep using that, right? Because it worked. Um, but then probably people start to realize that oh, it's just gonna be another jump scare. Like it becomes predictable, right? So I guess like nowadays people will start like at least the director, right? Like the producer, they will start to realize that people will begin to predict this jump scare will come. Then maybe they make it that there is non jump scare, right? And then suddenly there is maybe, right? But yeah, I guess about jump scare, like about these critics, then what the producers can do is probably reverse psychology that, like I said, you build the suspense, but you make the viewer expect that there will be jump scare, but just don't give them that just yet. Like yeah, like just leave them like that and nothing happens, right? And then suddenly somewhere like sometime later on suddenly it appears, right? So I guess that's an idea, like to play the tricks with the audience, the viewer, I guess, like positioning your place as viewers and positioning yourself as producer as well, right? So yeah, there you go. In film, okay, cat people, I don't know what this is. I know Catwoman, but I don't know what cat people is. Poster for cat people, which featured the Lieutenant Bus, the first jump scare. Oh, the first jump scare. That's something, I guess. Um, Not quite sure about the term first jump scare though. Like 1942, like don't you think people back in 1800, 1900, earlier than this already considered jump scares a thing? No? But yeah, I don't know. While editing Cat People, Mark Robson created the jump scare in which quiet tension builds and is suddenly and unexpectedly interrupted by a loud noise, cut, or fast movement startling the viewer. In the film, Alice is walking home along a deserted street late at night and realizes Irina is following her. Alice begins to panic, running, and the silence of the night, the contrast between light and deep shadow, shots of the fearful Alice in the intermittent clacking of high heels set up suspense. Abruptly, a bus enters the frame with a loud, unpleasant noise, scaring the viewer. The jump scare device is sometimes called the Luton bus, after producer Val Luton, who used it in subsequent films. Okay, so it's a bus, basically. I guess what happens here is that this woman runs right in her heels, and then like in alley, out of alley, and then she kind of ran into the traffic, right? And then suddenly there is a bus, maybe with the what is it again, the honks, I guess. And then it startled the woman as well as the viewers as well, right? Like maybe the loud noise, and then the loud, maybe like the bus breaking as well, making that breaking noise as well. I don't know, right? And then maybe Alice also screams. I don't know. Prior to 1980s, jump scares were a relatively rare occurrence in horror movies. However, they became increasingly common in the early 1980s as the slasher subgenre increased in popularity. Carrie, oh, I know Carrie, actually, okay, has one of the first modern jump scares. The scene, which occurs at the end of the film, is credited as inspiration for the use of a final jump scare in the 80 movie Friday the 13th to show that an apparently dead villain had survived. Okay, so I think what happened in Carrie in the final sequence is that I think the woman stand in front of the house, and then suddenly I think what happened is that the villain, like dash through the door, like the hands, the arms, like dash through it, and then grab the woman, right? And then the movie ends. I think that's what happened there. Um, I remember this from the kill count from the Dead Meat channel. Shout out to Dead Meat. They basically just count all the kills of horror movies, right? And then Carrie is there as well. So yeah, that's why I remember about this. Um, okay. When a stranger calls, use a form of jump scare to suddenly reveal the location of the antagonist to both the protagonist and the audience. Describes this as causing a sudden vanishing of the protective wall surrounding the film's protagonist, in turn giving the viewer at home a sense that the intruder is also somehow closer to them. I never watched When a Stranger Calls, so I don't really know what this is all about, right? Like what scene actually describes this. So yeah, there's that. Drag Me to Hell. Oh yeah, this is also a very famous movie as well. Um, a lot of jump scares, right, throughout. Saying he wanted to create a horror film with big shocks that will hopefully make audiences jump, and they do actually in most certain way. Also, it kind of made my jaw drop. Like one of the scenes probably like when the woman sleep, and then suddenly there is something, right, the ghost like appear like on top of her bodies, and then it vomited like substance or liquids, right? And then yeah, it's a little bit gross as well if you ask me. In video games, okay, Resident Evil, yeah, that obviously, right? The games as well as the movie as well, honestly. Um, Daylight, and then Five Nights at Freddy's. Perfect for lifestyle. Yeah, oh, this, there you go. That's what I said, right? Five Nights at Freddy. It's just basically jump scare fest. And then it advertising 2004 KV. Okay, okay, so this is basically ads, right? You're never been so awake. Okay. Appears on the screen simulating the effect the energy drink will have on its consumer. Okay, so it's basically about coffee, right? Because cafe, I guess, caffeine or something like that. Um, Before YouTube was acquired by Google, okay, common practical joke for YouTube users to disguise videos that contain jump scares as something family friendly and innocent, okay? Um, Stare at the dot, look at the spiral for 30 seconds, and then there is the jump scare, right? That's actually very good pranks back then. There's that. Internet screamers. Internet screamer or simply screamer is an image, video, or application on the internet that has a sudden change designed to startle the user. They often include a scary face with a loud scream. Oh, I remember this one. So I have neighbor, right? And back then, they have high technology, like high PC stuff, right? So they have a very good PC, and then um, they let me and my neighbor to play, right? And then they showed us like basically a text, and then we read the text, and then suddenly it appears like a very like very basically a face of someone like jump scaring us, right? And then like we got scared actually, and yeah, it's like pretty hilarious. Like it's just like this as well, right? There is a maze, I think, as well, like, right? There is a maze, yeah, scary maze game, like you try to move, yeah, this one, right? Blue scare, given path without touching the walls. The walls get smaller, making more difficult, and then suddenly there is the thing, right? Like yeah, like um yeah, like the image of possessed. Okay, here we go. From the film Exorcist suddenly appear. So yeah, there's that. Reaction videos, impact. Okay, internet screamers. I guess this is basically everything, right? That is there. Yeah, still the maze over here. Um, okay. Yeah. Okay. 25 million times. Maybe I should watch this. I guess like, the maze, scary maze game, right? But yeah, there's also another video as well where like the victim or people that got jump scared, they got so rage, not really rage, but more like they got so surprised that they actually break the screen as well, I think. So yeah, it's quite funny, right? I mean, these kinds of stuff are supposed to be funny, right? But yeah, there you go. I guess it's a little bit short. See also startle response reference. So it's basically, yeah, it's like quick time reaction, right? Yeah, like quick time reaction, or what is it called again? Like quick response, right? Like, like you respond to something for these kinds of stuff, right? But there you go, jump scare. Do I like it? Obviously, I mean it works for me anyway. It is effective, I would say. Like I think what works best if you make the suspense, right? You build the tense, make it intense with the music, like soundtrack, and then like this jump scare is basically like cherry on top, like to release that suspense, right? Um, but then again, if you use it too much, then it will mean nothing, right? Because people will get bored about it. And, like, I think most of the times as well that jump scare is basically revealing whatever it is, like maybe the ghost or something like that, right? And like sometimes people will not get scared by whatever the creature is. So it's better to reveal, not reveal the ghost or the creatures, right? Like just do not show them at all. I think that works best because again, like if the creatures or ghosts actually people find it not scary or like funny, like not as intimidating, then the whole thing will die, right? Like like the suspense will no longer there because they already know what the creature or the monster or the ghost looks like. So oh, like they just got disappointed, right? Oh, it's not that scary. So yeah, therefore the jump scares will not work as effective afterwards, right? So yeah, I guess it's also best to use this like as sparingly as possible. Like you don't want this to make it a little bit too common, but also you don't want to miss this opportunity to build the tents, right? And then release the tense with the jump scare. But yeah, I think that'll be it for today's discussion about jump scare. This has been day 29. Next will be day 30 and then 31. And that will be it for Spooktober. But yeah, until then, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you again tomorrow with another discussion. Stay safe, stay healthy. I will see you again very soon and see ya.